Imagine a world at war. It's 1914. For years, Europe's great powers had been building up their armies and navies, forming alliances and preparing for a conflict that many thought would never come, but come it did, and with a vengeance. World War I, the Great War, was unlike anything the world had ever seen. It was a global conflict of unprecedented scale and brutality, pitting nation against nation in a struggle for dominance and survival. From the trenches of Europe to the deserts of the Middle East, millions of soldiers clashed in a war that would redefine modern warfare and reshape the political landscape of the world. For 4 long years, the world watched in horror as the flower of a generation was sacrificed on the altar of war, leaving behind a legacy of death, destruction, and disillusionment. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife Sophie in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914, was the spark that ignited the powder keg of Europe. A young Serbian nationalist, Gavrilo Princip, fired the fatal shot, setting in motion a chain of events that would quickly spiral out of control. Austria-Hungary, backed by Germany, issued an ultimatum to Serbia, demanding satisfaction for the assassination. Serbia, with the support of Russia, refused to comply fully with the ultimatum's terms. On July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, and within days the great powers of Europe were at war. Germany declared war on Russia and France, while Great Britain declared war on Germany after the German invasion of neutral Belgium. The system of alliances meant to deter war had instead propelled Europe into the abyss. The seeds of World War I were sown in the decades leading up to 1914. A complex web of factors, including nationalism, imperialism, militarism, and a series of diplomatic blunders, created a climate of fear, suspicion, and hostility among the great powers of Europe. Nationalism, the intense pride in one's nation and a desire for independence, was a powerful force in Europe in the early 20th century. The Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires, vast multi-ethnic empires, faced growing internal tensions as various ethnic groups sought autonomy and independence. Imperialism, the quest for colonies and overseas empires, also fueled tensions among the European powers. The competition for colonies in Africa, Asia, and the Pacific led to rivalries and conflicts, further poisoning relations between nations. Militarism, the glorification of war and the military, and the build-up of powerful armies and navies, created an atmosphere of fear and suspicion. The arms race between Germany and Great Britain in particular heightened tensions and created a sense that war was inevitable. Key leaders like Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany played significant roles in the build-up to war. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was the spark that ignited the conflict. Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, with his vast empire, was also a key figure in the unfolding events. King George V of Great Britain, with his powerful navy, was deeply involved in the pre-war tensions. The summer of 1914 witnessed a rapid escalation of hostilities as the great powers of Europe mobilized their armies and prepared for war. Germany, implementing the Schlieffen Plan, launched a lightning attack on France through neutral Belgium, hoping to knock France out of the war before Russia could fully mobilize. However, the German advance was halted at the Battle of the Marne in September 1914, and the war on the Western Front settled into a bloody stalemate. In the east, Russia, despite initial setbacks, launched an offensive against Germany and Austria-Hungary, while Austria-Hungary struggled to contain the Serbian army. The Ottoman Empire joined the war on the side of the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and later Bulgaria and the Ottoman Empire. In October 1914, opening up new fronts in the Caucasus, Mesopotamia, and the Sinai Peninsula. The world watched in disbelief as Europe descended into a maelstrom of violence and destruction, a conflict that would soon engulf much of the globe. Section 5. The Nightmare of Trench Warfare. The Western Front, stretching for hundreds of miles across northeastern France and Belgium, became synonymous with the horrors of trench warfare. Soldiers on both sides dug into elaborate trench systems, protected by barbed wire, machine guns, and artillery. Life in the trenches was a living hell. Soldiers endured constant shelling, sniper fire, and the threat of poison gas attacks. Disease was rampant, and the psychological toll of constant warfare was immense. Section 6. Turning Points and New Horrors. The Battle of Verdun, fought between February and December 1916, epitomized the brutality and futility of trench warfare. German forces, seeking to bleed France white, launched a massive offensive against the fortress city of Verdun. The French, determined to hold Verdun at all costs, poured men and resources into the battle, which raged for months with staggering losses on both sides. The Battle of the Somme, launched by the British and French in July 1916, was intended to relieve pressure on the French at Verdun and achieve a decisive breakthrough on the Western Front. However, the Somme offensive, despite initial gains, bogged down into a bloody stalemate, costing the British Army over 400,000 casualties for little territorial gain. The horrors of trench warfare, poison gas attacks, and the unprecedented scale of casualties left an enduring scar on the human psyche. Section 7. 1917. America joins the fray and Russia falls. The year 1917 proved to be a turning point in the war. The United States, outraged by German submarine attacks on American ships and the Zimmermann telegram, declared war on Germany in April 1917, tipping the balance of power in favor of the Allies. Russia, racked by revolution and civil war, signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany in March 1918, effectively ending its involvement in the war. The collapse of the Eastern Front allowed Germany to transfer troops to the Western Front, leading to a series of German offensives in the spring of 1918. However, the German offensives were ultimately unsuccessful, and the arrival of fresh American troops on the Western Front bolstered Allied morale and fighting capacity. Section 8. The Collapse of Empires and an Uncertain Peace. By the fall of 1918, the Central Powers were on the verge of collapse. Bulgaria signed an armistice with the Allies in September, followed by the Ottoman Empire in October and Austria-Hungary in November. Germany, facing internal unrest and military defeat, signed the armistice on November 11, 1918, ending the hostilities. The Paris Peace Conference, convened in 1919, aimed to redraw the map of Europe and establish a lasting peace. However, the Treaty of Versailles, which officially ended the war with Germany, imposed harsh penalties on Germany, including territorial losses, disarmament, and crippling reparations payments. The treaty, while intending to prevent future wars, sowed the seeds of resentment and instability in Germany, contributing to the rise of extremism and the outbreak of World War II 2 decades later. Section 9. The Great War's Long Shadow. World War I was a watershed moment in human history, marking the end of an era and ushering in a new world order. The war had a profound impact on every aspect of life, from politics and economics to technology and culture. The war resulted in an estimated 40 million casualties, including 20 million dead, leaving an entire generation decimated and traumatized. The collapse of empires, the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, Russian, and German, reshaped the political landscape of Europe and the Middle East. The war also accelerated social change, leading to increased rights for women, labor reforms, and the rise of new ideologies, such as communism and fascism. The Great War's long shadow continues to shape our world today, reminding us of the devastating consequences of unchecked nationalism, militarism, and the failure of diplomacy.